Most people think they already understand this moment. Your dog sees you, stretches, and it looks so ordinary that it barely seems worth questioning. Maybe they were stiff. Maybe they just got up. Maybe it means nothing more than a body waking up and getting moving again. But that explanation starts to feel incomplete the second you pay attention to when it happens, because it so often happens right as they notice you, not 5 minutes earlier, not randomly across the room, right then, right in the moment your presence lands. And once you notice that timing, the stretch stops looking like a simple movement and starts looking like part of a conversation. That is what makes this behavior so easy to misunderstand. It looks physical, but it often carries emotional meaning underneath it. Dogs live through patterns, through associations, through the feeling attached to a moment. So when the body opens right as you arrive, right as eye contact happens, or right as attention reconnects, there is usually more going on than muscle relief. The stretch is often the visible part of an internal shift. Something in your dog softens, something settles, something changes because you are there. The first thing to understand is that this stretch often marks a transition. Your dog may have been resting, observing, waiting, or simply existing in a calm, neutral state. Then you appear, or you become available again, and their body shifts with the moment. That shift matters. Dogs do not always express emotion with dramatic gestures. Often it shows up in posture first. A tight body loosens. A still frame lengthens. A dog that was holding themselves in one state moves into another. In that sense, the stretch can be less about tired muscles and more about changing gears. Your dog is not only moving their body, they are moving into connection. That is why, in many cases, the stretch reflects emotional safety. A dog that feels guarded usually keeps themselves contained. They stay a little ready, a little held back, a little careful with how much they release. But when a dog feels comfortable in your presence, the body often becomes more open. That full extension, especially when it appears soft rather than tense, can suggest that being near you allows the nervous system to loosen instead of brace. It is a quiet sign, but a meaningful one. Your dog is not just noticing you. They are feeling safe enough to soften in front of you, and those are not the same thing. At the same time, comfort is not the whole story. For many dogs, this stretch also carries a layer of anticipation. You have entered the moment, and now something might happen. A walk, a greeting, a touch, a playful exchange, even just shared attention. The stretch can act like a bridge between waiting and engagement. It is almost as if the body is preparing for interaction without rushing into it. That matters because dogs often reveal excitement in more subtle ways than people expect. Not every dog spins in circles or explodes into movement. Some dogs express positive arousal through a slower kind of readiness, where the body lengthens first before the rest of their behavior follows. This is also why context changes everything. The same stretch can mean something slightly different depending on what happens next. If your dog stretches, then walks toward you with soft eyes and relaxed movement, the moment often reads like a warm social greeting. If they stretch and immediately bounce into action, it may be part of an invitation, a signal that they are shifting into play or heightened engagement. If they stretch after lying still for a while and remain calm afterward, then physical release may be the stronger layer. The important point is not to force one fixed meaning onto the gesture. It is to understand that the stretch belongs to the moment around it. Your dog is not performing a dictionary definition. They are responding to context. What makes this even more interesting is that many owners underestimate how relational timing shapes dog behavior. Dogs are constantly linking body states to people, places, and repeated experiences. So if your dog often stretches when they see you, that behavior may be tied not just to your arrival, but to everything your arrival has come to represent: relief, familiarity, attention, positive expectation, emotional regulation. You are not just a person entering a room. To your dog, you may be the beginning of a pattern they know well, and the body sometimes reveals that pattern before any obvious action happens. This becomes even clearer when you compare how dogs behave around different people. Some dogs greet everyone with roughly the same energy, but many do not. They have shades of response: more softness with one person, more caution with another, more excitement with someone whose presence predicts stimulation, more quiet ease with the person who feels like home. So if your dog stretches in a particularly calm, open, familiar way around you, that can reflect something deeper than habit. It may be one of the small clues that your presence carries special emotional weight, not because the dog has been trained to do anything, but because their body has learned what being with you feels like. But there is another side to this that people often miss. Sometimes the stretch is not simply a sign of ease. Sometimes it helps a dog manage a state change. A dog can stretch when moving from uncertainty into comfort, from stillness into interaction, from mild tension into release. In other words, the stretch may not always mean, I am completely relaxed. Sometimes it means, I am becoming relaxed now. That distinction matters because it shows you that dogs do not only communicate stable emotions, they also communicate transitions between emotions. And that is often where the most revealing signals live. This is why owners who really understand their dogs stop looking at behaviors in isolation. They stop asking, what does a stretch mean? As if one answer could cover every dog and every situation. Instead, they start asking better questions. What happened just before it? What changed in the dog's body afterward? Did the eyes soften? Did movement become playful? Did the dog come closer or stay where they were? Those details turn a vague guess into a real reading. The stretch is not the whole message. It is the opening line. And if your dog does this often when they see you, the deeper meaning may be surprisingly emotional. It suggests that your presence does not just get their attention, it changes their state. It shifts the atmosphere inside their body. That is not a small thing. Dogs are honest with posture in ways humans often are not. They reveal what words would hide. So when your dog notices you and the body opens instead of tightening, when they lengthen instead of hold back, when they seem to arrive in the moment through that movement, what you may be seeing is trust made visible. And that is what makes this behavior so powerful. On the surface, it looks almost forgettable, but underneath, it can reveal comfort, expectation, emotional release, and a bond that has been built through repeated experience. Your dog is not simply stretching because a muscle needed it. Very often, they are showing you that your presence means something in their world. It changes how they feel, and their body tells the truth before anything else does. And once you understand that, you start seeing something even deeper. Because if one small behavior can reveal that much about how your dog feels around you, then the everyday things you do matter even more than they seem. The routines, the tone, the consistency, the small moments of attention all build the emotional world your dog lives in. What looks like a simple habit from the outside is often the result of hundreds of quiet interactions layered over time. The way you greet them, the way you respond when they approach, the way your presence either settles them or leaves them searching. Dogs remember those patterns in a way that is not conscious, but deeply felt. And over time, those patterns become their reality. And the important part is that this is always changing. It is not something you set once and forget. Every interaction adds to it. Every moment either reinforces that sense of safety or slightly reshapes it. Dogs are constantly updating how they feel about the world through you, even when nothing obvious seems to be happening. That is why even small shifts in how you show up can have a much bigger impact than you expect. That is exactly why the next step matters so much, and it leads perfectly into this. Do these 7 things daily and your dog will know you love them.